I'm Rebecca, and I'm 32 years old. At my brother's wedding reception, his new wife handed me a name tag that read, "The Charity Case." My entire family erupted in laughter, like it was the punchline to some inside joke I wasn't part of. I stared at that little white sticker for exactly 3 seconds. 3 seconds of pure crystallized humiliation. The kind that burns through your chest and makes your ears ring. Around me, cousins were doubled over. Mom was actually wiping tears from her eyes. Dad was slapping his knee like this was comedy gold. My brother Mike stood there grinning like this was the funniest thing he'd ever seen. This from the man who'd been sleeping rent-free in my downtown apartment for 8 months. I smiled, set the name tag down on the gift table, and walked straight out of that country club without saying a word to anyone. But here's the thing about being the family disappointment. Sometimes you get the last laugh. I pulled out my phone in the parking lot and made one call. One very important call to my lawyer. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below, and hit that like and subscribe button if you've ever felt completely humiliated by your own family. You'll definitely want to stick around for what happened next. By morning, my dear brother Mike and his lovely bride Jennifer were about to discover what real charity looks like, because apparently, they'd forgotten one tiny detail about their perfect love story. They were living rent-free in my downtown apartment. Had been for 8 months, while they saved for their dream wedding. I guess you could say, I was about to remind them. The morning after their wedding, they were going to wake up to a very special delivery. 2 documents actually. A lease agreement and an eviction notice. Their choice which one to sign. After all, real charity should go to people who actually need it, right? Let me back up and paint you the full picture of my wonderfully supportive family. Growing up as the youngest of 3 kids in suburban Ohio, I learned early that success meant different things depending on your gender. My brothers Mike and Danny could do no wrong. Mike became a mechanic. Danny works construction. Both married their high school sweethearts, bought houses with white picket fences, and started popping out kids. Me? I got a full scholarship to Northwestern, graduated summa cum laude, and built a career in commercial real estate. I close million-dollar deals. I own a luxury downtown condo. I drive a BMW. My portfolio is worth 7 figures. But somehow, I'm still the disappointment because I haven't managed to land a husband. Every family gathering was the same routine. Mom would corner me within 5 minutes. "Rebecca, honey, you're not getting any younger. Maybe you should lower your standards a little." "Thanks, Mom. Really feeling the love." Dad was more subtle, but just as brutal. "Career's great, sweetheart. But when are you going to focus on what really matters?" What really matters? As if building a 7-figure portfolio was just some cute hobby. The worst part? I tried to help them understand my world. Last Christmas, I explained how I'd just closed a $20 million office complex deal. Know what Mom said? "That's nice, dear. Mrs. Henderson's daughter just had twins." Because apparently creating life is impressive, but creating wealth is just showing off. My success made them uncomfortable. When I bought my BMW, they suddenly couldn't afford family dinners at anything nicer than Applebee's. When I renovated my condo, they stopped visiting because it made them feel inadequate. When I took Mom to that spa weekend for her birthday, she complained the whole time that it was too fancy. But here's the beautiful irony. They had absolutely no problem accepting my help when they needed it. Danny's transmission blew? Guess who loaned him $3,000? He said he'd pay me back next month. That was 2 years ago. Mom needed her roof repaired? I covered it. Dad's basement flooded? I paid for the restoration. And Mike wanted to propose to Jennifer, but was broke. I bought the engagement ring. $1,800 for a diamond, he claimed as his own romantic gesture. When Mike asked if he and Jennifer could stay in my downtown apartment, just for a few months, to save money for the wedding, I said yes, because that's what family does, right? I should have seen the warning signs when Jennifer moved in without asking permission. Or when they redecorated my guest bedroom without consulting me, painting over my beige with awful teal. Or when they started hosting parties and telling people it was their apartment. I'd come home from business trips to find my furniture rearranged, my kitchen stocked with their groceries pushing mine to the back, my bathroom counter crowded with Jennifer's makeup collection. They treated my space like it belonged to them. But no, I kept being the good sister. The reliable one. The charity case. One time, I gently suggested they might want to start looking for their own place, since they'd been there 6 months already. Jennifer actually laughed in my face. Why would we move? This arrangement works perfectly. Perfectly for them, she meant. Mike backed her up. Come on, Becca, you've got plenty of space. And it's not like you're using the guest room for anything important. Not like I paid the mortgage. Not like I own the place. The entitlement was staggering, but I swallowed my frustration. Family first, right? That's what Mom always said. Family takes care of family. I just didn't realize I was the only one expected to do the taking care of part. The morning of Mike's wedding should have been a red flag parade, but I was too busy playing the supportive sister role to notice. Jennifer had requested, demanded really, that I handle the little details, since I was so good at organizing things. You know, because that's what successful single women are for. Free labor. I spent 3 hours that morning picking up flowers because their delivery guy got confused about the address. Jennifer's fault, actually, since she'd given him my apartment as the drop-off point without telling me. But somehow this became my emergency to solve. Then there was the cake crisis. The bakery called at 7 a.m., because Jennifer had changed the flavor 3 times and never confirmed the final order. Chocolate? Vanilla? Red velvet? Nobody knew. Guess who got to drive across town to sort that disaster out? If you guessed the family charity case, you'd be absolutely correct. By the time I got to the venue, the wedding party was in full meltdown mode. Jennifer's maid of honor had food poisoning. The photographer was stuck in traffic. The officiant was running late because he'd mixed up the time on his calendar. But don't worry. Rebecca to the rescue. Again. I coordinated with the photographer's assistant, personally called the officiant and got him there early, and even helped Jennifer get into her dress, because her backup maid of honor had never worked a corset before and was panicking. Just pull the strings tighter. No, tighter. Yes, like that. Did anyone thank me? Of course not. I was just doing what the spinster aunt does, making herself useful so people tolerate her presence at family events. The ceremony itself was actually beautiful. I'll give them that. Mike looked genuinely happy standing at that altar. Jennifer was radiant in her white gown. For about 30 minutes, I felt that warm glow you get when family moments work out perfectly. My baby brother was starting his happily ever after. I even teared up a little during the vows. For richer or poorer, in sickness and in health. It was touching. Romantic. Everything a wedding should be. Then came the reception. Have you ever experienced that moment when you realize how your family really sees you? Drop a comment below if you've ever felt like the family disappointment despite being the most successful one in the room. The name tags should have been my first clue. Everyone else had proper ones, printed on elegant cardstock. Mother of the bride, best man, family, normal wedding reception labels to help people find their seats. But when Jennifer handed me mine with that sweet smile that never quite reached her eyes, I knew something was off. The charity case. Printed in elegant script, no less. Professional calligraphy. Someone had actually paid money to have this made. The laughter started immediately. My cousin Sarah actually snorted wine through her nose. Uncle Bob was slapping his knee so hard I thought he might injure himself. Even the kids were giggling, though they probably didn't understand the joke. Mike stood there grinning like this was the funniest thing he'd ever witnessed in his entire life. His best man was wiping tears from his eyes. Jennifer was watching me with this expectant look, waiting for my reaction. Mom was actually crying from laughing so hard. Oh, honey, it's just a joke, don't be so sensitive. My dad couldn't even speak, he was laughing too hard. That's when everything clicked into place with crystal clarity. This wasn't spontaneous humor. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment joke someone made up. This was orchestrated, planned, calculated. Jennifer had ordered this name tag weeks ago, probably when she was ordering all the others. They'd sat around planning this moment. Maybe around my dining room table, in the apartment I let them live in rent-free. They'd discussed how funny it would be to publicly humiliate me at their wedding. The charity case. Because I was successful and single, and apparently that made me pathetic in their eyes. Because I'd helped them financially, given them a free place to live, and that somehow made me a joke instead of generous. 3 seconds. That's how long I stood there holding that name tag, feeling the weight of every year I'd supported this family, defended them, helped them, loved them unconditionally. 3 seconds of pure crystallized understanding. I smiled. Not a real smile, just the polite one I use in business meetings when someone tries to lowball me on a deal. I carefully set the name tag down on the gift table next to the expensive stand mixer I'd bought them. Then I walked straight out of that country club without saying a single word to anyone. My heels clicked on the marble floor, past the decorated tables, past the string quartet, past the ice sculpture. Out the front doors into the parking lot where the summer sun was setting in brilliant orange and pink. I pulled out my phone. Made one call. "Hi, this is Rebecca Chen. I need to draw up an eviction notice tonight." Monday morning, Mike and Jennifer received 2 legal documents via certified mail, a formal lease agreement requiring $1,500 monthly rent, or a 30-day eviction notice. Their choice. My phone started ringing before noon. Mike's name lit up my screen. I let it go to voicemail. He called 6 more times. I ignored every single one. Finally, a text message appeared. "Becca, we need to talk. You can't do this to us." I typed back slowly, deliberately. "Actually, I can. You have 30 days. Sign the lease or find somewhere else to live." Then I blocked his number. Jennifer tried next, calling from her phone. I didn't block her immediately because I wanted to hear what excuse she'd come up with. "Rebecca, please. I'm so sorry about the name tag. It was just supposed to be funny. Mike's sister. You can't throw us out right after our wedding." "I'm not throwing you out," I said calmly. "I'm offering you a lease at below market rate. $1,500 a month for a 2-bedroom downtown apartment is actually generous. Or you can leave. Your choice, Jennifer. But we don't have that kind of money saved. We just paid for the wedding. Then I suggest you start looking for affordable housing. You have 29 days left." I hung up, blocked her number too. The family explosion started within hours. Mom called, her voice shrill with indignation. "Rebecca Marie Chen, you cannot let one moment of poor judgment destroy your relationship with your brother." "It wasn't one moment, Mom. It was the culmination of years of being taken for granted. The name tag was just the final straw that broke the camel's back." "So what's your end game here? You want to punish them forever?" "I want them to grow up," I said. "I want Mike to get a job and support his wife instead of living off his sister's charity. I want Jennifer to understand that marriage doesn't entitle her to other people's property. And I want my family to realize that success doesn't make someone a target for ridicule." Silence on the other end. Then, "You've changed, Rebecca." "Yes, I have. I used to think family love was unconditional. Now I know better. Love is unconditional. Love might be, Mom. But relationships require mutual respect. I'll talk to you later." I hung up before she could respond. The calls kept coming. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all with the same message. I was being unreasonable, cruel, heartless. How could I do this to family? Not one of them asked why my family thought it was acceptable to publicly humiliate me. Wednesday afternoon, Dad showed up at my office. No phone call, no warning. Just walked past my assistant and sat down in the chair across from my desk. We stared at each other for a long moment. "Your mother sent me," he finally said. "I figured. She thinks I can talk sense into you. Can you?" Dad leaned back, studying me with those sharp eyes that had always seen more than he let on. "What if they can't afford the rent, Rebecca?" "Then, they'll figure something else out, Dad. Just like every other adult in America." He nodded slowly. "Your mother won't like this decision. Mom's had 32 years to see me as more than the daughter who can't catch a husband. I'm done waiting for her approval." Something shifted in his expression. Almost like respect. "For what it's worth," he said quietly, "I'm proud of what you've built here. This career. This life. I should have said that years ago." My throat tightened. It was the first time he'd ever said those words. Friday afternoon brought the revelation that changed everything. I was packing up to leave the office when my phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Chen, my elderly neighbor across the hall. "Rebecca, dear, I thought you should know there are moving trucks at your building. Multiple trips. They're taking quite a lot of furniture." My blood went ice cold. I called her immediately. "Mrs. Chen, what kind of furniture?" "Well, let me see. They took that lovely leather sectional from your living room, and the dining set. Oh, and several boxes of what looked like artwork and decorative items. Is everything all right, dear?" "They were stealing from me." Mike and Jennifer weren't just refusing to pay rent. They were looting my apartment on their way out. I broke every speed limit getting to my building. The moving truck was still there, being loaded with my 60-inch television. "Stop," I called out to the movers. "That's my property." The moving supervisor, a burly guy with a clipboard, looked confused. "Lady, we got a signed authorization right here. Mike and Jennifer Mitchell hired us to move their stuff." "Their stuff? That's my television." Mike appeared in the building doorway, looking guilty as hell. "Becca, I can explain." "Explain what?" I said, my voice dangerously quiet. "Explain why you're stealing my furniture?" "We're not stealing. We bought some of this stuff." "With what money? Mike? You've been unemployed for 3 months." Jennifer emerged behind him, arms full of my decorative throw pillows. "These were gifts. You gave them to us. I picked them out with my credit card in my apartment." "Those aren't gifts, Jennifer. That's theft." The movers had stopped loading, sensing serious trouble. The supervisor approached me cautiously. "Ma'am, if there's a dispute about ownership, we can't complete this move without proof of purchase or police verification." "Call the police," I said immediately. Mike's face went white. "Rebecca, come on. Don't do this." "Don't do what? Don't report theft? Don't protect my own property? We'll bring it back. We just needed some furniture for Mom and Dad's place." And there it was. The truth finally spilled out. They weren't just refusing to pay rent. They were stealing my belongings to furnish their next free living situation at our parents' house. The police arrived 20 minutes later. I showed them my lease agreement, my homeowner's insurance policy, and receipts for the major items. Mike and Jennifer couldn't produce proof of purchase for anything. The officer turned to me. "Ma'am, do you want to press charges?" I looked at my brother standing there, his new wife crying beside him. This was the moment of truth. The moment that would define our relationship forever. "Yes," I said clearly. "I want to press charges. Because sometimes, family or not, you have to draw the line." 6 months later, I'm sitting in my peaceful apartment, watching the sunset paint the city in shades of gold and amber. Mike and Jennifer pleaded guilty to attempted theft. They got probation plus 200 hours of community service. They also had to pay restitution for the moving truck and police response. They moved in with Mom and Dad, just as I'd predicted. Last I heard, the arrangement was going about as well as you'd expect. 3 adults and a newlywed couple trying to coexist in a 2-bedroom ranch house. The family dynamic shifted permanently. Some relatives sided with me, finally understanding there's a difference between family support and family exploitation. Others blamed me for tearing the family apart. I'm okay with that division. Mike finally got a job at another garage. Jennifer works full-time at a department store. They're learning what the rest of us figured out years ago. Adult life requires adult responsibility. Danny surprised me by sending $50 a month, slowly repaying what he owes. Dad stops by my office sometimes just to chat. He's proud of me now, and he's not afraid to say it. Mom is still Mom. She thinks this is all a phase. But I've learned something valuable. Real family doesn't keep score. They don't mock your success or minimize your worth. They celebrate your achievements and respect your boundaries. The charity case label turned out to be wrong anyway. Real charity is about giving freely to those who need help and appreciate it. What my family wanted wasn't charity. It was enablement. And I'm officially out of that business. If this story resonated with you, make sure to like and subscribe. Sometimes the hardest person to stand up to is family. But sometimes that's exactly when it matters most.